And by the way, Deej, your audio sounds great. I listened back to it.
Oh,
like,
good.
I haven't plugged it into an app yet, but I was like, I kind of forgot because like I was just expecting it to be like the Skype audio sounding, and I was like, oh, this is nice and buttery.
Good.
So we just hear so much echo. Oh, speaking of buttery, John, that wine was delicious. That
Good.
you got me
No,
for my birthday.
Nice transition.
We literally bought it for him because it has like butter, like the butter Chardonnay.
Just a Chardonnay. It's. I don't think it said anything else on it except butter. And it was, dude. I'm not usually a big white wine guy, and man, it was delicious. I really liked it a lot.
I actually need to pour myself another one of those before we get started. We also need to clap before we get started.
Yes, sir.
Hey everybody, welcome to Pursuing Pixels. This is episode number 73, and my name's Kevin Portelli, and I'm here tonight with Randall Nolery,
Hey, everybody.
John Hines,
Hey there.
and DJ Mandolini.
Yo.
And how you guys doing?
Great.
I caught John mid-sip of wine. What are you drinking over there, John?
I'm drinking that buttery wine I got you for your birthday.
You got yourself a bottle that you got me for my birthday? Yeah, it was super good stuff. Oh man, is everybody else drinking anything?
Wawa.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
I got
How about
a
you, Randall?
nice rosé going on here tonight.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
We're all drinking wine tonight. I got a little the usual Aldi red blend.
Yes.
Nice.
So DJ keeping it clean, and since you're the sober one out of all of us, DJ, why don't you kick us off with what you've been kind of bouncing around with this week?
Yeah, just been bouncing around with a couple of games. I think last time I was talking about some Civ 6 a little bit, and
Yes, sir.
I think I left off on the Australia campaign where I had to achieve a certain income level. I achieved that income level. I conquered Australia. Then I beat the last. There are only 4 scenarios, so I beat the last one. That was like a Vikings, barbarians kind of deal. And I was just like, okay, like I'll just maybe do some AI games and like try to go online. I checked, and surprisingly, there weren't a ton of online games happening, which I don't know. I was expecting there to be still like a pretty large following going.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, just because
I think it's a small dedicated group. Like,
really?
Or I wonder if they're all on PC. I don't know if there is crossplay. I don't think so. Because it just seems like those strategy games are like there's that loyal base that you're talking about, John. Like I feel like there are a lot of PC gamers.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
and I think it's
like
also like a lot more like private games where people coordinate and do stuff because it
like
is
me versus you.
It's a really like time intensive game. Like putting in like I think a 500 turn maximum is like a standard for that game, and
Jesus Christ,
that's trusting a stranger to match with you randomly online and not just quit in the middle of it.
It was just like I saw like 10 games. I was just like, are my settings wrong or whatever? But yeah, I guess that makes sense what you're saying.
Were you able to get into one though? Or
I tried, and the hosts kicked me out.
It's like I was waiting for my friend.
Or they heard about me.
Yeah, they saw that gamer tag and they had to go running.
No, but I had to resort to ending it on some AI games, and it's just man, it's such a draining experience. It was just like I can't, after like playing one final game, like I can't think of starting all the way over. It's just so much time goes into just one game. I luckily I boosted up the difficulty, did Emperor, and I was the Scythian Empire, and I did a nice little military conquest of Brazil, Australia, and America. So fuck you, Teddy Roosevelt.
Take the opportunity when it presents itself.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
So no, I have once again hit my civilization limit. So I will be stepping away until the next iteration. I've also, I guess this month on PS Plus free game is PlayerUnknown Battleground. So, another nice battle royale game. Fell hard off of Fall Guys Battle Royale. So
yeah, we both I think we talked about it a little bit too, even a few weeks ago.
Yeah, we played like one more like session together, and like just a few matches in, I was just like, I could go without playing this for a while.
Gets a little shallow.
You even texted me like one last hurrah or something like that, kind of like as my PlayStation Plus is about to expire. And in the back of my head, I was like, maybe I'll, if we have a blast, maybe I'll renew it. And I was just like, nope, I'm letting that thing burn, baby.
Don't lie to yourself, Kevin.
So they just like need to, they need to do some serious updates to that. Like, not because it's like severely lacking or anything. It's just I've played everything out. Like I'd like some modes where you can just like pick the games you want or whatever, and I also just want a new crop of games to show up. So
do you also get bored because you won so many times? I mean, that's probably a factor.
Oh yeah, I mean,
you've climbed that mountain.
What's there to gain at this point?
Yeah.
Well, for what it's worth, I never won one, and I'm still burned out too.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did see a clip of one of the new mini games that's coming out in October, which I think will be this month when the episode comes out here. But yeah, I think it looked pretty cool. Like it looked pretty different and kind of like a larger arena-based game, but it looked maybe a team-based one, which I know you and I are kind of iffy on. So
yeah, we'll see. But yeah, so instead I've been doing PUBG, and this is so I've done like Fortnite in the past. I've done Apex Legends. I've done Call of Duty Warzone, so I guess this is like the last of the Titans to do, and the original.
And it kind of is this the one that I was going to say? This is the one that kind of kicked off the sensation a little bit.
Oh
right?
yeah,
yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And like I think when it all started, like it was like PUBG versus Fortnite, and like I was playing Fortnite, so I was like very team Fortnite. But I don't know, like I'm not a huge fan of like the fort building mechanics in Fortnite. So like I actually kind of prefer just going back to basics and you're just shooting and that's it. And it's kind of nice to like, this one is third person view, which I guess I didn't realize going in. So it harkens back to the SOCOM days of online shooters.
You mentioned that, and I didn't know it was third person either until you had posted that clip, and I was like, oh man, I didn't realize this was a third person game.
Yeah, man, you could just be extra stealthy and take less risks, just peek around corners.
Right.
Yeah,
that's
already more appealing to me.
Yeah. I mean, like I thought I was gonna fall hard off this one pretty quickly. Like I was saying before, it's fine, but like after I got that win, like, it just fueled me. I don't know. I just get
awoken something inside you.
It just such a fucking knot in my stomach when it gets down to like 5 people remaining.
Oh yeah,
just such a small like space of land that's available. I don't know. It's just
the circle keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
The rush is just.
Have you played it too, Randall?
I played it like back when it came out for a little bit. But yeah, the graphics in PUBG are not great by any stretch, but I understand why they have to do it the way they do because it's a battle royale. There's a lot of shit going on, so I give them some leeway there.
I don't know. I mean, I would say Apex Legends is probably my favorite of all of them. I mean, I really like Titanfall, and it's kind of like similar engine or whatever. But I do miss the third person shooter, stealth shooter mindset. So I've I deleted it because I was just like, okay, I just need to win a match to feel like I've beaten this game.
Good lord.
But I'm re-downloading it, so I'll probably play later tonight.
Nice.
And then
that's good that it like still holds up even after you've played all the other ones, that have kind of come and tried to tweak the formula a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is like I don't play as many multiplayer games as I used to. Like, I mean, Fall Guys was maybe like the one that I'd played in a long time, but I think it's nice to just have that like quick go-to multiplayer option. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I guess last of all, I've not completed this game yet, but I've been making some progress on Doom Eternal, which you guys need to jump on. I mean, like,
once it gets ported to Switch,
there you go.
Dude, you'll fucking, it's gonna crash. It's I mean, it's so I can't even think of like what really the differences are gameplay wise.
And DJ's the one drinking water.
Dude. Yeah, like it just feels like exactly like the first one, like in a good way. And I've been playing
just like refined.
Yeah. And I've just been like, most of the shooters I've been playing are more like, stealthy or whatever. So it's always nice to have a more aggressive option.
Right.
Although, like, I feel like I am restarting sections a lot. Like I'm like one notch above normal difficulty. And maybe I just suck compared to most people, but like it's kicking my ass a lot of times. But it is like, I don't know, it is kind of nice for it to be like so attention demanding and fast paced. It's been a good time.
I can't wait to play that game on the easiest difficulty.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, you guys have all both beaten the original, or the 2016 original or whatever, right?
Yeah, the reboot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you too, right, Randall?
Didn't beat it. Got about halfway through.
Okay, I knew we had talked about it on the podcast before because I had dabbled as well because you guys had all raved about it, and I was like, okay, and I had a good time too. I just played the first level, but just that kinetic sense of momentum is like really awesome in that game.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys remember if there was a dash mechanic in the previous one?
I mean, the glory kills, there was a relic that you could unlock that would allow you to dash towards an enemy for a glory kill or a melee attack. But like, I don't think that there was necessarily like a dedicated like dash button or mechanic.
Okay. Well, that is a big difference then. There's a dedicated dash button, which just makes things even more like fast paced. And like it opens itself up to some more platforming like puzzles than before. Because there's like some parts where you have to like scale walls or whatever, and you have to like get the jumps correctly. It's
Doom Prime.
Yes. Doom Prime 2 Echoes.
I was shocked by how much platforming there was, and even the first level that I played, I was like, dang, this is kind of cool. And again, that speed, like it feels really cool.
Yeah, man. You need to get on that.
All right. It's still on Game Pass, the 2016 one, so I should boot that up again.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
Nice. Well, what about you, Randall? I know you've polished off something and sunk a little more time into something else. So what have you been spending time on this week?
So I've completed Monster Boy in the Cursed Kingdom. It's done.
Yay.
Yes.
34 hours. 34 hours, guys.
Nicely done, man. I already fell off, not because I wasn't enjoying it, but I was just like, once you kept saying, I'm still playing it, I was like, okay, I gotta move on to something else.
Like, I don't want to disparage like Metroidvanias as a genre, but this has happened.
But go ahead.
Do it.
Multiple times with Metroidvanias, this has happened to me. I felt this feeling with Axiom Verge, and I feel this feeling again at the end of Monster Boy, where I get what you're doing. Like, I get it, guys, but there's just too much here. Like, I didn't need all of this. Like, and it's just, it keeps going and going and going. And part of that's on me because of my nature in like going out for the side quests and getting all the power-ups and stuff. But they also kind of point you in those directions more often than not. Like, that is part of the core gameplay loop, is getting all giddy because you found those secrets. So like, yeah, I found like 90% of the secrets, and that's why it also took me 34 hours instead of maybe 24 hours. But
nice.
Man.
But no, I agree with you though. I probably played like 5 or 6 hours, and it does kind of steer you on those paths.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't feel like you're like sinking in tons of extra time going for the secrets. Like they're kind of along your adventure.
Yes. Over time, they become less on your adventure, but I'll give the game credit because there's a lot of quality of life. It is ultimately a retro experience, but there's a lot of quality life stuff here under the surface. Like, they make it easy for you towards the end of the game to figure out where those secrets are that you didn't get before. Then it's just a matter of kind of sussing out a given area to see how to get to the said secret on the map, right? So, you know, there's a lot of those type of touches in this game that wouldn't be there if this was just straight up a retro game. And I still liked my experience with it, and I liked the end boss. And there's a really cool, like, fully animated, beautiful end cutscene, just like there was one at the beginning. And, like, all of those are, like, beautiful touches. They obviously, this is a labor of love for them, but man, it's just too much game. Too much. It needed to be. You could have cut this sucker in half, man. Split it up. Does it maintain its, like, high difficulty pretty much throughout? Or did it kind of drop? Oh, okay. Yes, it absolutely did. I feel like as time went on, I just got used to it being that difficult and dying over and over again. I just kind of like baked that into my experience of this game. But yeah, no, it did not let up. It stayed that difficult, and maybe it was still okay for me because I mean, to be fair, like, I'd found so many secrets. I was pretty powered up, like, compared to the average person that would be at that point of the game. And maybe that eased my pain to some degree, but no, it still was damn difficult, really difficult. So, does it scale based on like how much of the side stuff you've done, or I don't think so. Okay, I didn't get that impression anyway. I can't say for a fact, but I don't think so. No, okay. This is definitely one of those games that you could play where, like, yeah, I'm not going to bother finding any of the secret, like, extra hearts or anything else, and I'm just going to try to beat this with 3 hearts. I think you could do that if you wanted to. I'm not going to do that. So, like, happy to see it end, but man, it became like homework the last like 3 or 4 sessions to be like, I just need to complete this. I've spent too much time. I just got to see this thing through.
Yeah. Well, that's why we harp on stuff like a short hike. You know, I know we like kind of ram that point home of like, this is like a nice 3-hour game of like, not that they all need to be exactly that length, but like, you know, 8 to 10 is like that. I feel like that's like the most I'm willing to put into a game these days. And even that's a stretch to be honest.
Good on you, Randall, for finishing the game.
Like, I'm in my mid-30s with a family, guys. I can't do this shit all the time. Give me a break, man. Come on.
It's good for one of us to see things through to the end. Isn't that right,
Kevin? That's not in my nature either, to be honest. So
I might be doing it with the game I'm talking about later today. Ooh, so we'll get to that. We'll get to that later. But I know, Randall, you've kind of spent some more time with another game this week too.
I did. So I completed Monster Boy. It's over. And then I suddenly had free time to play other video games. And I jumped over to Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2.
Yes.
Because it had released officially. I'd gotten that demo because I pre-ordered it digitally, which is something I never do. But I'd heard such good things about the demo. I played the demo. It was amazing. I've now played the regular game, and it's amazing.
Yes.
It's exactly what you expect Tony Hawk 1 and 2 to be. They nailed it. Like, I guess you would call this a remake, but it feels just like those games before. Like,
nice.
And this is coming from someone that has access to those original games still, like, in my library. And now I feel like I don't really need to play those versions necessarily anymore.
That's odd. That's like the best kind of remake when it truly just replaces, like, you know, we've touched on stuff like the Wild Guns and the Ninja Warriors or Ninja Saviors. I always forget what it's called.
Ninja Saviors. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. But like those are like that's the way it's done. Like adding new levels and characters, but like still, you know, giving you that original experience, how you remembered it, but like souped up a little bit or a lot of it.
So, and in this case, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I've got some specific questions.
Oh, yeah, no, hit me up because in general, I'm just going to keep saying that this is amazing and it's just like you expect. So go ahead and hit me up with questions.
Nice. But yeah, I'm very curious how, like, so from the get-go, can you manual in 1? Like, are they like separated or like mechanics wise? Like when you go into 1, are you still like collecting tapes?
Yes.
Okay. And then
so
is there
I will say that like
in one
there are still tapes in the TP the first Tony Hawk levels, the secret tapes. There might actually be a new set of collectibles. I can't quite remember. Like it seems like on every level there's also like a unique collect 5 of this thing that's like for that level's theme, and I can't remember that necessarily being in those original games, but it totally fits. Like in one of them, it's like 5 hall passes. Maybe that was in the
5 hall passes was in one. Yeah, and it was like ollie over the taxis in the warehouse in one, and then I can honestly, if you give me enough time, I could probably go through every single challenge and every challenge. Level.
Yeah. Well, like, are they? I guess maybe what you were trying to get at, John, is like, are they split up into like separate games? Like when you open the menu, are you picking Tony Hawk 1 or Tony Hawk 2? Or is it like all one game with all the mechanics? Because in the first one you couldn't manual and you couldn't like do
there
some
wasn't
other
cash
things.
Everywhere. That was how you bought unlocks in 2.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
There's not cash everywhere. But so it's interesting. So the answer is kind of both, because they've got 1 and 2, and you can either start on the kind of main menu when you enter the game. You can play, starting on Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 levels with the warehouse, I think it is, or like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. And like as you complete enough objectives in Tony Hawk 1 levels, you unlock the next levels in Tony Hawk 1, same with 2, but you can bounce between 1 or 2, and the stats that you're gaining with your Tony Hawk character carry over where you can jump between both games in the menu.
All right.
I know. It's amazing. It's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
And that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm jumping between kind of first, second, third, fourth levels on both games, and it just feels great. Like, I'm loving it.
Man.
Go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, like, there was a specific dark time in my life where, like, at my like depths of depression, I played through every single character like to completion, like max stat every single character in 2. So like
Mario Tennis 64 style.
It just like there is a therapy and a very like, for me, it's a very like important game to me, just because I find a lot of comfort in it, and I don't know. Having that depth of an experience is something that I would actually really look forward to revisiting, is something that I just find comfort in. Like, I think Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 is one of the most important games to me personally. So I'm very excited to delve into this if it ever gets ported, or eventually maybe I'll get it on PC or something.
Yeah. No, it makes perfect sense. And Tony Hawk 2 in particular is pretty damn close to a perfect game on top of that. And everything's like, you can get in such like a zen state with these games. It's like, I love it. I love it.
It's so great. It just to do like a backflip off of a grind onto a car and hitch off the back of it and just be like, I don't know, like this is like, I guess if I really trace it back, like I never realized how much I love like these just like kind of pick up and play arcade style games. But like this is, I mean, I've always liked that kind of game, but like when I'm getting hooked on these roguelikes and stuff, I mean, I know Tony Hawk is obviously not a roguelike, but like it has that same type of like, let me do a 2-minute run. Like I have 2 minutes to play this level. Like it has that same just again, and me and my brother would just pass the controller back and forth, like trying to beat our own high scores and, whatever. I definitely need to pick up these games.
Yeah, they nailed it. They full kudos. They completely nailed it. I really hope they port it to Switch, and I hope they do a physical release, because I'll buy it again.
Yeah, because it could have totally been a cash grab. We've seen more than our fair share of those as far as like the remakes or remasters go. So yeah, it's really glad to hear that it's not. But yeah, John, I know you've been dipping into a little puzzle game this week.
Yeah.
That we were chatting in the Discord, actually. You're like, I haven't played anything this week. Give me something to play. And we had chatted about Golf Peaks before. And yeah, you take this one away.
Yeah. So I've been playing Inbento, which is, I believe, the second release from, at least the second official release. They've put out some other smaller like project games on itch.io. But Afterburn is the studio. And it's a bento box puzzle game that's grid based,
Yes.
And it's absolutely adorable. Well, the main character, it tells a little story through like no dialogue, just like pictures, and it does a really good like descriptive storytelling and just like single frame like panels, I guess you would call them, throughout as you complete different level or batches of levels. And it introduces a lot of different mechanics. Mostly it's either placing like a Tetris shape, or like in a grid-based system, like let's say there's an L shape of like specific types of sushi or rice, or like different types of food that you would put in a bento box for a lunch, and you're organizing it in a certain way that it'll show you what the end goal is in the upper right-hand corner. And all of it starts off, it gives you just different like grid-based items to like place in. You can rotate them and try to fit them in correctly, but eventually you'll be placing them on top of each other, and whatever you place last will cover up what you placed before.
Okay.
So that's like the first mechanic they introduce, and then they introduce mechanics where you can rotate items that are already placed into the box, or you can copy items that are already placed into the box, or you can remove them from the box. So honestly, when I first started playing, like the first 2 or 3 worlds, I was beating every single level on the first try.
Nice.
And I was getting kind of cocky, and I was like, I'll probably beat this game before we even start talking on the podcast. And then like as soon as like world 5 hit, I was just starting to hit a wall. And like I think I've fully completed the first 8 worlds. I think there's 14 total. But like as soon as I got to level 9, like I was leaving worlds incomplete as I was moving on to the next, because I was like, it was getting hard. It was outpacing my ability to just beat everything, and I'm really enjoying it. Like it didn't get too complicated too quickly. Like I said, I got it to like 5 worlds before I started having any actual difficulty with the game. But like at where I'm at now, it's a fairly difficult puzzle game, and it's very similar to how, I mean, in terms of like aesthetic and presentation, it's very similar to Golf Peaks.
Yeah.
Where like it's that similar puzzle where, they have all of the turns laid out at the bottom, and it's just you trying to figure out the correct order that you're doing it in. And if you make a mistake, you can just as easily just undo one step or undo all the steps, which make it a really not easy, but accessible experience.
Yes.
It's just user friendly.
Yes.
Like, you can just you don't have to, let me redo that. It's not time consuming. It's just very conscious of your time.
And if you do, a nice thing that that it gives you the option is you can rotate pieces before you place them. So let's say you know the exact, or at least you think like the exact rotation that you need to put a piece in. You can rotate it but not place it. And if you undo a move just by hitting the B button, it will stay in that rotated position, as opposed to if you hit like the Y button and undo everything, and it'll take it back to the default state. So you can, as you're undoing it, you can also still kind of keep your moves. And like it's again,
very helpful.
So like user friendly in that experience, and that way it kind of makes it feel lower stakes, even though it isn't decreasing the difficulty at all. Like it is still a very challenging puzzle game, but just like the fact that it's not, I don't know, relishing in being obtuse or something.
Or and there's no like timer. There's no sense of, just like in Golf Peaks, I haven't played Inbento, but it just seems like, and I have played the game that they kind of expanded upon this on. I know you mentioned some of the itch.io stuff, John. Mm-hmm. Like they have another game called Textiling that works exactly the same way. Like you just have tiles, but they're just like little textiles of different either patterns or colors or different tiles or whatever. And you just, but same thing, you kind of overlay it. And I actually saw that somebody in the comments was like, oh, I wish this had a more full, the difficulty curve's kind of a little bit unfair. Like it's easy and then it just spikes. And they're like, yeah, we couldn't quite figure it out, but we sort of took this idea and turned it into this game and had a little trailer for Inbento. And I was like, oh yeah, because the way you're describing the difficulty sounds very similar to Golf Peaks.
Yeah.
Where it like just had that really nice, like, yeah, for through 3 or 4 worlds, no problem. Let me do these bonus levels, no problem. And then all of a sudden you're just like, oh, there's water and mud and sand traps and slopes. It's like they start stacking stuff and it gets pretty crazy.
Yeah. And they do a great job of like giving you enough levels while they introduce new mechanics where it's like, all right, we're not going to explain it to you because there's no words in any of that. Like it's a Polish studio and like they do like such a good job of communicating things without using any language and
That's
like just
cool.
visual and like just yeah, it's so evident in everything they do, and they do a really good job of making sure that here's a few levels with just this mechanic so that you get it. And then I'm at the point where I'm at now, they have like the bottom screen will just be like 5 different mechanics, and I'm like, oh god, I don't know where to even start with this. So like I'll just start placing things until I get a feel of like how I think it might work.
Yeah, and how big are the like bento box grids? I mean, I'm sure they're different sizes for each like level, but I mean, like how big of a puzzle are we talking about?
I don't think I've gotten any bigger than 4x4. But
oh really?
Yeah, they're small boxes, but honestly, that constraint lends itself to like it. There's one puzzle that I just finally beat, and like honestly, it only had 4 moves, but like it was just such a hard thing to like figure out. Okay, like I can clearly see exactly what needs to happen. I just don't know how to do it, and that feeling of satisfaction of like getting all those moves correct, and like that is actually a thing that I just remembered about it is that like same with Golf Peaks is that I think that there's a flexibility in the way that you can like there is maybe a set solution to the puzzle, but not necessarily a set order that you need to do it in.
Love it.
That flexibility allows it to be a little bit more like, oh, I have not like deduced the one solution that there is to this problem. It's more of like, oh, I figured out the set of things that I need to do in order to solve this puzzle. And that feels really good because it's not then just like it's the difference between like a puzzle box where, you have to do the same thing every time in order to beat it, or like, okay, this I get what I need to do and actually learning from that.
I love the aesthetics of that game too. It's just so beautiful.
Yeah, it's so cute. Yeah, and I just it's worth mentioning that both Golf Peaks in this game are like normal price $5, and there's like a ton of puzzles. Like they're both great games. So just worth mentioning that you can pick them up at a super cheap price.
And I think they're also originally both iOS games, so they're available on like iPhone as well as Switch. But I don't think
they feel like they would play very well in that fashion too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Even I should pick up Golf Peaks too.
Golf Peaks is sweet.
Golf Peaks is great.
Have you not played Golf Peaks, DJ? Because I thought we talked about it on the podcast a long time ago. I think it was one of your first episodes, John. Because I know you kind of. It was me. Yeah. I don't know. I know. I talked about it, but I thought it was John that brought it to my attention. I know you kind of called. You were the one that brought this game to my attention. So
yeah, I'm just a big fan, and I hope I don't want to pigeonhole them into like a genre, but I really like the way that they approach puzzle games, and I hope that they keep plugging away at it.
Yeah, definitely excited to see whatever they do next for sure. Yeah, and I guess before we wrap things up, I had one game I wanted to talk about, and it's funny that you mentioned some of those beautiful animations at the beginning and the end of Monster Boy, Randall, those like anime kind of style cutscenes.
Yeah.
I've been playing Indivisible on Game Pass.
Yeah.
And this is it's published by 505 Games. I'm drawing a blank on the developer off the top of my head, but I'll have links in the episode description, and maybe it looks like somebody's looking it up while I'm talking here. But I really
Lab Zero
it's got
Games.
that same kind of what's that?
Lab Zero Games.
Lab Zero Games, nice, thanks. But yeah, it's got like a really great 2D. I think they've done some of like the Blaze Blue games. I want to say I don't know.
They've done
some other
Skullgirls.
Skullgirls. Yes, I was gonna say I know they've done like another really like hand-drawn 2D animated
Beautiful games.
And this has like a very similar hand-drawn style, although I've never really played Skullgirls, so I don't know exactly, but it kind of incorporates some 3D elements into like the background and the environments and whatnot. But you're still on like a 2D plane. And I guess I'll just get kind of right into the way, because this game starts off, it's one of those games kind of like Castlevania Symphony of the Night, where like it starts off with like a final boss battle where you're all maxed out with all your abilities, and then you're like, okay, now I know how to play. That's a tutorial. And it's kind of a generic storyline. You know, the game starts out, your village gets burned down, everybody's killed, all that. It's pretty kind of generic on that front, but it's really well done. Like, it's a little wordy, a little talkative, like cutscenes keep interrupting the flow of the game just a little bit, but it's pretty easy to skip. But it's charming, it's well done, it's funny. But the gameplay itself, it's kind of like, it's going to be maybe easy to describe, but it's a weird combination of elements. But it's like a 2D side-scrolling platformer that is also a turn-based action RPG with an emphasis on the action.
Nice.
In the sense that like the combat is a lot more like the Mario and Luigi games, or like the Paper Mario games, or even like Final Fantasy VIII with like the Gunblade. Any of those games where you're having like inputs, like timing-based inputs, and essentially
love it.
The reason Mario and Luigi comes to mind initially, and particularly the Partners in Time, or any of the ones that have like all 4 characters, you essentially, like right now I have 10 characters unlocked in my party. You can have 4 equipped at a time. Each one is mapped to one of the face buttons on the controller, and then you have to obviously there's one button that blocks with every character at once, but now I'm starting to come against enemies that are having attacks that I have to specifically dodge at the perfect time. Like it's like a grapple attack, so I have to dodge not with all, like you have to specifically block with that character individually with their face button, and then that button also corresponds to their attacks. But almost like Smash Brothers, you have like, you can hit just A by itself, or up an A, or down an A, and they're all like different attacks. And then you kind of have this meter at the top that you keep filling up, and it's like it'll drain and fill depending on how well you're doing in the battles. And another great thing that we've talked about in a lot of like, kind of incorporated in a different way, but like in Streets of Rage 4, Randall, how like every level is like kind of its own level. Like you kind of get a new set of continues, or Jamestown Plus. Like every level's kind of its own challenge. Every battle in this game is its own challenge. Like every time you like start a new battle up, and you'll see a character like on the side scrolling level, and you can either get the jump on them with like a axe attack is kind of your main weapon. And later on you'll get a few other things. You can I can throw a spear now and stuff like that. So if I'm able to get the jump on an enemy, or shoot like a bow and arrow as well, which has a really cool mechanic for like some puzzle platforming too. You're able to like kind of freeze in midair and like shoot these switches that trigger these blocks that you're able to jump. So like the platforming is really fun. It's not like crazy intense, you know, it's not like super, but there's some really cool mechanics, like with your axe when you're trying to climb up to a ledge. You don't have a double jump, but you can swing your axe into like the side of the wall and dig into it, and then launch yourself up. So you can like double jump up a wall,
nice,
and then wall jump. So like sometimes you have to do that to get a little bit higher. There's just some really cool, clever like layouts of the levels and stuff like that as far as the platforming goes. But then if you get the jump on an enemy with like an axe swipe, you know, you get to do a couple extra attacks. And then as you're filling this meter, every character has like a special attack. Some of them have healing abilities. Like there's tons of different variety in the characters. Like I just am loving this game. I've probably sunk like 4 or 5 hours into it over the last few days.
Nice.
And I really am having a hard time putting it down. Like I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it other than like the combat is super engaging, super fun. Like even the minions I'm kind of coming across at this point, like they're taking a decent amount of time to beat down, but like every battle, because you're full health every time, it's like it's a totally engage. Like every encounter you come across is like it's like well tuned enough to like be a challenge every time, even just coming across like an easier. You know, there's obviously easier fights than others, but some of them all of them are at least a decent challenge that you can't just cakewalk through.
So are there like RPG mechanics? Are you leveling up like these characters that you're getting in your party, or is it just like progression by adding more of them?
You're getting experience and they're leveling up, but like you're not really. No, you're not like I do have I'm at level 16, but like I haven't learned any new moves, or I haven't, like, nothing's really happened. I'm just stronger. Maybe I have more health. Maybe I have like better stats, but each character has like different stats as well. Like they're not just different sets of moves. Like they really have like different speed, different HP. But it doesn't seem like I'm not getting to choose. Like I want to upgrade this character, and I want to. Gotcha. It might be only upgrading the characters that are in my party. That might be happening. I actually haven't paid too much attention because I got a nice four pack that I'm pretty happy with at the moment. But if your main character dies in battle. Actually, you know what? You don't even die if your main character, as long as all 4 of your characters have to die once you have all four in your party. But that happens pretty quickly. But yeah, it's like, it's pretty. The challenge is not crazy, like as far as like it's pretty lenient with the save points and all that. But like, yeah, I don't know. I'm just having a really great time, like just kind of meandering through this story. It's like a little bit Metroidvania-y, but again, it's like it's my kind of just like you're just on a path, really. It's like a big sprawling map, but like it's actually pretty impressive how it's strung together. Although I did just get to a point where like I met this pirate, and she is letting me use her boat, and now I'm able to travel to other islands that it seems like I have to kind of do a set of things at each island before I can progress to the main chunk of the game. So the game is kind of opening up and giving me a little bit of choice, Mega Man style, where I can pick which level I want to play and stuff. But yeah, it's just like really charming. Love the music, just love the presentation all around. Yeah, I think all of you would love this game. I think DJ maybe would be the least. I just don't think it has the challenge that you'd be looking for.
Are there difficulties?
No, I don't think so.
Are all the encounters mandatory, or could you like skip some enemies? Like if you could like maneuver around them?
Maybe a couple, but for the most part, they're kind of on your path. You do have to kind of take them out.
Okay. Just thinking of ways I could, force increase
make it harder.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There might be difficulty settings. Like I always just kind of default to the normal setting unless it says something otherwise, where like this is the true experience on the hard difficulty. Then I just kind of default to the normal. But yeah, I just like the way I'm just kind of casually playing it. I'm just picturing you in that mindset and like, I don't know if this would engage you as much, but I could be wrong because I do think it's like an immersive story and narrative and whatnot, even though it is a little generic and cheesy. But again, it's another one that I'm playing on Xbox Game Pass that I think was available day one, but it's available on most platforms if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. It'd be helpful if I'd ever played any of the like Mario RPG games aside from Paper Mario, like to have some frame of reference.
Interesting.
Well, Paper Mario, I feel like has enough of like except you're just managing more characters at once. Like having to juggle and dodge with all 4 different characters with the fate. Like it almost you get into a little bit of like a rhythm game flow state with it, with like your combat and your blocking and your timing and like. But it's got that similar thing where like each enemy will have a few different attacks that all have a different telegraph that you can kind of like. Oh, if it's got like a red line, I know this attack's going to be a little slower in a ranged attack. If it's a blue line, I know they're going to like dash at me real quickly and do a melee attack. So like it's kind of similar in that sense, the way the combat works.
Okay. Man, I loved Partners in Time. Like
I was going to say, I'd be very
interested
to see like,
I was like,
what
I'm on board.
DJ, your reaction would be to like Mario and Luigi. Like Superstar Saga is my favorite out of the whole series.
I never finished any of them, but I enjoyed all of them.
Has any of that stuff been ported to Switch?
No.
I think they're on 3DS. They've ported some of them, but
Kevin,
they just
they're on Wii U
ported,
right?
Well, what was the Bowser's Inside Story port that they just did?
That was on 3DS, I think, and it came with like that extra like Bowser's Minions or something, but Bowser Jr.
But it was originally for the 3DS.
But they did do Partners in Time on Wii U. That released as a virtual console title with DS.
Nice.
They just released one. Yeah, that's weird. They re-released Mario and Luigi, Bowser's Inside Story, and Bowser Jr.'s Journey for 3DS.
For 3DS, yeah. Yep.
Good lord.
Oh, man. And that's a conversation for another day, probably, those cash grabs.
Yeah. But yes, I think the Mario and Luigi's like series is a very good RPG series, but my personal favorite is the original for Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, they're all great, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. they're just so they kind of keep that Paper Mario and even the Super Mario RPG tradition alive, you know, that just kind of that sense of humor. And I really like those a lot.
Also a very demanding final boss.
Yeah, they're not easy. They're not easy games for sure. I would say that those games, from my memory, I haven't played in a long time, but I would say those are tougher than what I've experienced in Indivisible so far. It's been kind of a more chill experience. But yeah, like I said, I just really like the vibe. I like the setting. It's been a nice, breezy, I don't know, relaxing game.
How far along do you think you are? I mean, you said like
4 or 5 hours.
But I mean, like percentage-wise.
Like, I don't know. Like, I thought I was kind of cruising along a little bit more, but I would guess it'll probably be like an 8 or 10 hour game because, like, now that it's opened up, it seems like I got to go to at least 3 different islands, and then it seems like I might have to do 2 more challenges after that. So I think it's got some meat on the bones for sure, but it's not getting stale up to this point. But it seems like there's like only one more character that I can unlock based on like the slots that are available. So I think I'm like decently along. Like, it almost felt like as I got to this ship that it was opening up, like it felt like way more than a tutorial, but it felt like the game was kind of opening up after that, sort of.
Nice.
If that makes sense. But yeah, I think we can pretty much wrap up the games talk there though this week if you guys are good to call it a night.
Yes, sir.
Cool. Well, as always, you can find us online at pursuingpixels.com, and we've got a YouTube channel, Twitter, Instagram. Links will be in the episode description, as always, along with the timestamps. I probably should mention the timestamps at the top at some point one of these days, but otherwise, we'll catch you all next week, and until then, take care.
Bye-bye.
Boy.
I'm same boat. Summer's my least favorite, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I can't
agree.
stand it.
Too hot.
It's been, I mean, the coronavirus is obviously not nice, but like it's been staying in hasn't been that bad.
Yeah.
Fall, winter, spring, summer. Yeah.
Oh my God. Kevin, have you been there forever? You just like, it was just an empty chair for the longest
like your
time.
screen
I was just like, I thought you were just talking from off screen.
maybe I'm lagging a little.
Like one of those
I'm lagging a little bit.
Like horror movies. Where, like he just pops up in front of the screen.
That's what happened.